Good morning. How are you? Happy Saturday. I was looking forward to the weekend. I wanted to show you how I made the little sunbonnet girl. It's a needle keep, pin keep, whatever you'd like to call it. This one is actually very vintage, and it's got some great little embroidery embellishments on it. I didn't do the embroidery on mine. I kind of faked it. But you can do, and I know lots of you like to do slow stitching and needlework and do some beautiful work. And I like to do it as well, but I don't always have time to add those touches depending on what I'm working on. But I do intend to make one with my own needlework on it. But this is where I started, and I used her to make a pattern. And I don't know how well you can see it, but I just cut it out of cardstock, traced it, cut her out of cardstock. I traced her, I traced the legs, and I traced just a piece. I kind of made it a little bit my own way because I rounded it off at the top so it fits a little bit better. But I made the pattern, and then I cut her out. I found this really pretty color of lavender. So I cut her out. I don't always do the greatest job at cutting, so I'll trim her a little bit. And I'm sorry, I'm at my kitchen table and not my craft room because at the moment it's a bit of a mess, and I'm in the middle of a project, so I didn't want to clean it all up. So I thought this would be a better place to do it. So I hope you can see everything well enough. This is a very quick and easy project. Part of it is about finding the felt that you want to use. I find I like buying felt on Etsy, the 100% wool. But you can use any craft felts to do this, and you know, for the first time you do it, you might want to just start with whatever you have on hand, see what you like using. Quick and easy little gift, hostess gift. I was thinking I might do this with my granddaughter next time she comes over because I know she likes to sew, and this would be a place for her to keep her needles. I think she'd enjoy something like this. She's not a big craft person. She likes sewing and baking, but I think this might be something she likes so that she has some place for her sewing needles. So anyway, the fun of this is really the decorating part. It really kind of just goes together. This goes in the middle and this goes on the top. But when I work on it, I like to do the decorating before I put it all together to make sure I like the way it looks. But I'm a very visual person, so I kind of like layering it while I'm working on it just to kind of see where I'm at. I got a bunch of little supplies, some flowers that I have, and actually, you know, I decided I wanted some more contrasting colors, so I chose some blues and some greens. But, you know, like I had these cute little daisies that I wanted to use for her border of her dress here, but they were white and I didn't want the white. All I did was use my ink and stamp them up a little bit so that they were more bluish. So you can do kind of whatever works for you, but don't let it intimidate you that you don't feel like you have the exact correct supplies. I know a lot of us on this site have plenty of supplies. That's not an issue. I probably have more supplies than I know what to do with, but I like to play around so that they look the way I want them to look. So she's got this cute little floral little bouquet that she's holding. I thought it might be nice. What I usually do is just take some flowers and bunch them up together, kind of make sure that they're a little bit built up. So I thought I might put a little bit of lace behind them. Oh, I have another one. Oh good, I can move them closer together. I thought I had gotten out another one. So yeah, I like that better anyway. But I found this, you know, little scrap of lace from my last project, and I thought it might be nice to put a little circle of lace kind of behind. I usually just kind of cut out a piece, and then I really do like the dimensions, so I don't want it to be too big, but at the same time I want to make sure that it has a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to cut it more of a circle, but it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to bunch it up a little bit. This is just how I work. I like to see visually how it's going to look before I glue anything in place. And I know that many of you have way more experience and way more supplies than I do. So you probably have much more creative ideas about how to decorate it. But I do like that she's got some lace behind it and some more dimension to it. And once it glues down, it won't be quite so bulky. And maybe it's a little bigger than I anticipated, but I'll play with that a little bit. I also have this box, which I love, of all kinds of little bows and little pieces of flower from a vintage doily, but I've got these cute little bows that I stamp frequently, different colors. I've got these little lace bows, but I think these little white bows were better, so I did already stamp her and make the bow. And like I said, it doesn't have to be, this doesn't have to be the layout. You can choose to do whatever you want. I kind of like the look of the tatting for her hat, and I can play with that a little bit before I cut it. I can stick the bow on here and see if that's the way I like it. The gluing is always the fun part, right? But I like to play around and move things around before I actually, and I do also have a little piece. I have a couple different tattings here, so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I like to make sure she has a little bit of a petticoat. So I wanted to see, I'm not sure if I wanted the tatting here. I like this piece of tatting because it's a little bit frilly, and I thought that might be a good piece for her petticoat. I think it might be, and I can play with it a little bit to get it the way I want it to lay and make sure that I like it that way. This is the challenge when you don't glue it down, but this is how I work. So bear with me. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Yeah, I really do like that. It's kind of dainty, and I have this other piece of lace here that I could use. I'm gonna try it because I always have to see how they look before I decide. I don't know who likes which one. I think I like the tatting better, although they're both pretty. I think the tatting is a little daintier for this little girl, so I think that's what I'm going to use. So you can decide whenever you're ready which way you want to go as far as gluing things down. I think I'm ready to glue. So I don't know about you, but I like little needle keeps, and I have collected many. When I go to estate sales, my sister and I love to go to estate sales. So we have gone to many together, and I think I turned her on to estate sales actually. Thing with glue, thing with felt is you want to be more careful with the glue than I'm actually being at the moment, because it shows up on the felt. This is the easy part, right? Because these can just lay wherever. But I do find a lot of these little needle keeps, I just put a lot of glue on here and while I bunch up the lace. And I've, you know, had a love for sewing over the years, so finding these little remnants of somebody else's sewing, I always enjoy that. And I've collected different pin cushions and needle keeps, and they're not fancy, but what I like about them is somebody used them. I'm just using Aleene's tacky glue. You can use any kind of tacky glue, but tacky glue for me is, you know, things stay down quickly. You don't have to worry about them moving. It takes a minute to dry, but I find that I have a lot of give with it as well while it's drying, and I can play around and move things around and make it fit the way I want it to. And then I can also trim a little bit of the lace if I want to. Obviously this one's a little bit bigger as far as this goes. And I think I want to move it over here. Again, this is why I like the tacky glue. I can just kind of play with it and make it. I want to make it look like she's really got a little bouquet here, so I wanted to give it some dimension. And I want to give the tatting a place to live. So I'm going to just throw down the glue and then make the tatting fit. Give it a little bit of a trim so I can play. I have tons of tatting. That's another thing I collect at any estate sale I go to, if I can find it. It's getting harder and harder to find. I don't know if any of you have that problem, but I've had that problem. And I also find that if I put the glue on the bow instead of on the fabric, it's less likely to be all over the place. So I'm going to put the tatting on the bottom here. I like to make sure that it's gonna show through, so I like to put it really close to the edge, and then make sure I have this is what I'm famous for, I get glue all over me and then everything sticks to my fingers, and then I end up with finding pieces of things everywhere. I really do like this tatting. It's kind of dainty. And these scissors are nice and sharp, and I find that the smaller ones are just easier to work with. So here's her little petticoat. And that looks really cute, doesn't it? I like the way she looks. And then it's just a matter of adding this. I usually put down a little bit of glue just to hold it in place while I'm sewing. But I'm actually gonna cheat a little bit. I put some pins on a piece already so that I could easily have a finished piece to show you how it would look. But right now I'm just gonna, and it's probably, obviously it's a little bit easier if you sew this without having the pins already on here, so they're not in your way. But I wanted to make it easy for you to see. And then I'm gonna do a little bit at this end. I just find that it stays a lot better in place while I'm sewing. Probably I could sew it before I decorate it, as I said, but I do the same thing, honestly, with my journals. I do so you see you got this little sandwich here of the felt. Oh, another reason to wait. Normally I let things dry before I sew it together. Sometimes I need the fabric glue for the bow. All of this is vintage, all the remnants. And this is a great way to use up remnants. I have a whole jar full of lace remnants and little tiny pieces of different things that I can use. These are actually bigger pieces that I have in a different jar. I have a whole jar full of tatting. But I already threaded the needle so I wouldn't have to torture you with trying to see the needle and thread it. But, you know, I always try to make sure that the knot is hidden in the back. And then you just want to make sure that you catch all 3 layers with your whip stitch. And it's just a small little stitch, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. Just takes a minute because it's such a small little area. And for those of you who like your slow stitching, you might do something even more fancy on the back, or even with your blanket stitch perhaps. Like I said, I probably will do it a little fancier when I work with my granddaughter. But my goal with this was just to show you the basics of how to do it. And there she's sewed her together here. And you've got this sweet little sunbonnet girl with her needles. I can adjust those again. But with her pins, I like these are old hat pins, or well, they're not hat pins, but they're old pins that I found on an old pin cushion. I try to use as much vintage as I can. That's my knot. I don't want to cut that. I've been known to do things like that. So simple, right? Quick and easy, not too complicated. You can make lots of these for craft shows. You can make these for, like I said, hostess gifts or granddaughters. Hopefully they're still learning to sew and potentially doing crafts. If anybody has any questions, I do have the pattern that I sent to Michelle so that she could put it on the site so that you could just cut out the pattern and use it. Feel free to use it. Like I said, I just copied it off this vintage one, which is still my absolute favorite because I like the vintage look of it. But she's modeled after her, and I hope you like her. I hope this was helpful. I hope you could see this. I'm going to have to take a look at the video and make sure I don't have to do it again. But enjoy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else makes, and looking forward to our weekly projects. They're so much fun. Thanks, Michelle, for putting that together. Everybody have a great Saturday. Bye.